He hadn't known not to whimper, and he must have been in excruciating pain. Dogs have 3 nerve centres in their body, and one of them is in the ears. It must have been agony when it was bitten, and when his ribs broke, but he'd ignored the pain and undoubtedly saved my life in the process. We'd been in some scrapes together up to that point, and we'd be in many more to come, but replaying what had just happened to us both, I knew I'd never work with a police dog like Theo ever again. Looking into those big brown eyes while he was fixed by the vet, I got goosebumps. His eyes are the most beautiful of any dog I've ever seen, and when we look at each other, it's like we connect on an incredible level, a bond that can't be put into words. I didn't need to thank him more than I had. He understood. Our bond became unbreakable at that moment. We'd both fought for our lives, but hadn't even considered leaving each other's side. We weren't handler and dog. We were one. Man-Pole Theo. My boy. My son. Chapter 1. I grew up in a place called Clayton in Manchester. It was a really rough estate with plenty of crime and neglect. Kids left school at 15 with few prospects, and half of them lived in poverty. Dad was a coach driver, and Mum was a part-time cleaner. I'm the third of 4, and we had a tough childhood. Times were tight, and to put it bluntly, we had sod all. Mum wanted the best for us though, and from when we were tiny, she was adamant she wanted us all to go to private school. Fees aren't cheap, and Dad worked long hours to afford it for us. He'd take any overtime he could on evenings and weekends, determined we'd have a better shot at making it in life than he'd had. My older brother Junaid, younger brother Gavin, and older sister Suzanne all happily towed the family line and enjoyed a private education at St Bede's College in Whalley Range, Manchester, with Latin lessons and access to sport. But I refused point blank to go. Despite my protestations, Mum and Dad insisted that I at least sit the entrance exam. I dutifully agreed to this, then spent the next 90 minutes refusing to even write my name down on the piece of paper. They went mad when a teacher told them what I'd done, but I didn't want to follow the same path as my siblings. It didn't interest me. Being the stubborn child I was, I attended the local primary and comp while my siblings were carted off in their posh uniforms every day. I always had an affinity with dogs, and knew from a really young age I wanted to be a police dog handler, so it seemed pointless to go to private school when I knew I didn't need degrees or exams to join up and apply to the police dog unit. I'd seen plenty of dog handlers on our estate when a family row had got out of hand or a stolen car had been dumped. I'd watch intently as the handlers would let the dogs get a scent and give them space to work. They seemed so in tune, not a dog and a human working together, but one unit, one entity. It was fascinating, and I loved watching them from my bedroom window on the occasions they'd be on the estate. My 2 brothers and I shared a room, and my sister had one to herself, which never seemed fair, but that didn't change no matter how much we boys protested. Mum and Dad were like all the other working-class parents on the estate. Theirs wasn't the happiest of marriages. I remember arguments and rows over money, but rather than let it affect me, I was in my own happy world with Rufus. I was 4 years old when Rufus first came into my world. He was imaginary, but that didn't matter. He was a mongrel, and Mum and Dad would ask what he was, but the best my 4-year-old mind could manage was to describe him as a gingery dog. I can still picture him now, though, and these days he'd be a spaniel cross with shaggy ears. He was lovely, and he was my best friend. He never came out, he was only ever in the house, but I needed that dog so much. I'd talk to him about everything, spend hours playing with him and training him, and he never left my side. Rufus soon made way for Cindy, a real dog, when I was around 7 years old. A little grey staffy, she had the loveliest temperament. She belonged to a neighbour, but I'd ask if I could walk her, such was my obsession with these 4-legged creatures. Our neighbour agreed, and soon enough, Cindy started showing up outside our house a few minutes before it was time for us to go for a walk. Her dedication to me continued, and the more affection I showed her, the more she showed me. I'd fuss her and give her treats, and while she'd always had the softest nature, if Mum and Dad were shouting at me, she'd start to growl at them. Eventually, Mum made me swear I'd stop spending time with Cindy, in the hope her protectiveness towards me would wear off. But we were a unit until my parents moved house half a mile.